Sky Temple is a map that is easily understandable, but sometimes conflicting knowledge of the map's requirements and basic macro plays can easily turn Sky Temple into Ground Temple. This is the first no-nonsense map guide to Sky Temple. Let's start with the draft just as you would in a normal game. Ideally, you should be thinking of a number of things for the map: global presence, boss control, and temple control. I could name a few more things, but I feel like these are the fundamentals that will make the map easier to play. Now that's an important point. It will make it easier, not give you a 100% chance to win. Nothing will stop that Nova trying to solo boss. If you find yourself lacking these qualities in your draft, don't assume it's an instant loss either. You could have a hyper dive comp that's designed to destroy their team full of squishies, giving you map control purely through a numbers advantage. So let's get into actually playing the map. Remember, these are just guidelines. The map has 3 temples. Only a maximum of 2 can ever be active at the same time. The temples will spawn guardians and will fire at the closest structure to the temple and will always prioritize the fort structures over keep structures, regardless of the distance. I like to think of this map in phases. Phase 1 is the first set of temples. Your solo laner or global hero should be on the bot lane, awaiting for the temples on the top lane and mid lane to spawn. Everyone else should be soaking the other lanes and looking for kills where possible. Now, because there are 2 temples, both may be contested. The best case scenario is to capture both temples for the full duration. However, this is very unlikely to happen, so it may not be worth the risk. The top temple is the most dangerous one to capture solo. You're so far away from your own structures, and there are multiple ways for the enemy to block your escape. So if at any point you notice the enemy is missing and it is very clear they are rotating to the top temple, leave it, just leave it. In the first phase, the top temple is a little more valuable, assuming you take all the shots from it. The ammo on this temple shoots at the fort first rather than the cannon tower next to it. However, it's not much of a big deal. When capturing a temple, you don't need the whole team to sit on it. Put someone with self-sustain or escape on the temple and use the other members of your team to zone out the enemy or soak the lanes. Just make sure you don't force a team fight away from the person that is on the temple. Phase 1 is complete after the first set of temples have expended their ammo. We can now begin Phase 2. The solo laner or global hero should now be on the top lane awaiting the activation of the temple that will be spawning on the bot lane. In this phase, your team should immediately put pressure on the bot lane. The siege camp may be captured during this time too. If done well, you may be able to get enough siege damage to destroy their healing fountain. This gives you a great advantage as they will not be able to regenerate after the skirmish in the next temple phase. Also, the top hard camp should be captured just before the second temple spawns. You can time this by knowing that temples start to activate exactly 2 minutes after the previous one ends. If you do this, you have incredible lane pressure on the top lane, which must be dealt with during the time of the objective. This will either cause a number advantage for you, or it will mean that you get a free fort while fighting for the bot temple. Here's a pro tip: most players will kill this camp and leave it open. They are waiting for the temple to start activating. This is a good strategy as long as you can make sure that the enemy does not sneak in and steal it. So I would advise to keep an eye on the timer and do the camp as close to the end of the 2-minute timer as possible. Once the second phase is completed, the third phase can now begin. The third set of temples will be the middle and bottom temples, or the top and bottom. After the set, I believe it's random. One thing to note is that when there is a temple active on the top and the bottom lanes, do not commit the whole team to the top temple at the start. If the boss hasn't been taken yet, the enemy team will take it for free, while your team mindlessly has 5 members on the top temple. After this, your win conditions will still be to hold temples, but also as death timers become longer, there will be opportunities to take forts without the need of an active temple. This increases the value of the temples and puts you in a far more favourable place. A lot of matches in fact will not be ended with the temples themselves. Rather, the team fights over the temples and boss that decides whether you can just break through to their core. Contesting temples should only be done if you're at least even on number of heroes, talent tiers, heroics, and if there's a significant amount of temple ammo left. Of course, if you are ahead in all of these aspects, then there is no question. But there also may be times where you have a significant number advantage on a particular temple, but also have a level disadvantage. The minimap is your friend. If the enemy team is holding 2 temples, then it's obvious that they're split. When choosing between which temples to contest, you should see which forts are weaker on both sides. If you can see their keep can be destroyed with a specific temple, then aim to secure that one. Here the top keep wall is already down and the other walls are still intact. Securing the top temple means that my team will bring a keep down, and in this case by team I mean just me. If you're doing a risky boss, aim to stand on the enemy side first, and after the tornado spawns you can rotate to your side of the map. This way your team is not affected by it, and it may cause some disruption for the enemy team if they want to contest from that side. You should only really be doing boss when it's clear that you have the better boss control, a significant number advantage, or you can see that the enemy is too far away to contest it in time. This is as much map related advice I can give in a short time. I would like to close out by saying if you are serious about wanting to improve on this map or any other, it may also be a good idea to watch pro players and streamers. When I first started playing, I used to watch high rank players, and honestly it really helped me get a grasp of the game, and I'm still learning even now. So on that note, the next video will be on how to effectively learn from watching pro players, streamers or replays.